Welcome back. You're still watching NTV Weekend Edition. Thank you all for staying with us. Now, to take you back, earlier this week, the Ministry of Education released a timetable and revised guidelines ahead of the reopening of schools for candidate classes. In the new timetable, students in P7, Senior 4 and Senior 6 will report to school on the 15th of October for second term, which will run up to 18th December. After a short break, learners will return to school for third term from the 11th of January 2021 to 30th April 2021. National examinations that were meant to be held between October and November this year will now be held on different dates from the 1st of March 2021 to the 3rd of May 2021. With us in the studio today is Filbert Baguma, the Secretary General of the Uganda National Teachers Union, to give us a teacher's perspective on the new timetable and the challenges or opportunities it presents. Well, welcome to NTV Talk of the Nation.
Thank you.
Well, by now I'm sure you're very familiar with the new timetable and the new guidelines. What are your general thoughts about it, you as a teacher?
First of all, with the coming of COVID-19 pandemic, nobody knew the direction we were going to take. And that's why people have called it the new normal. The school calendar itself is not a month. It can always be adjusted. The only questions the parents have is that some had paid full school fees for term 1, and this was covered half. Others had paid halves. Others had not paid at all. Now that question remains unanswered in the minds of the parents. For us as teachers and learners, yes, the time we have spent out of school is quite long. You know, we have been having holidays of 3 weeks. Now this is 6 months. And therefore there is need for recovery. And even when we return to schools, there will be need to have that time to recover. Even when you go and teach and the learners are in class, you may not realize what you want to achieve. So there will be time lost during that time when they are switching from whatever they have been doing, now getting back to the teaching learning process. The school calendar going to next year simply means we shall have no candidates completing in 2020, which is unique. But it is not happening for the first time. Even when in 85, when Katonga was cut off, there are some candidates who did exams in around February 1986. So that one has been happening. Now the major challenge we have is that we don't have a roadmap, because it would have been ideal to have a roadmap to say candidate classes are coming back effective 15th October. Then these other classes will also come this time. A roadmap and implementation of the roadmap are two different things, because it will all depend on the situation. Even now when we talk of 15th October, we may reach around the 10th and the situation changes and it necessitates to put a halt again. And therefore, there is a need to have that roadmap so that people get psychologically prepared that, yes, we are at home, but on such and such a date, we are supposed to go back. If it doesn't happen, the prevailing circumstances will be known to everybody, and that has no problem.
Well, honestly, we know that students and teachers have been at home for 6 months now, and
Yes.
here they are, they're getting back to school.
Yes.
As on the side of the teachers, what are some of the challenges basically do you oversee? Do you believe will happen or will come forth with the returning of students to school?
Yeah, first of all, the pronouncement came with a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of uncertainty. The learners are coming from different areas. The teachers are coming from different areas. Nobody knows who is safe and who is not safe. And therefore, there is fear. Even the parents themselves, they are fearing, should I send the child or not? Should I first wait and see what happens when others go there for at least 2 weeks? Now, all this needs preparation in a sense that we need to prepare the parents, the learners, and the teachers psychologically, to work on this fear. We need to support them. But also we need to build their capacity to manage and fit in the new normal. Because
How do we do that?
You see, this time lag in between, the learners have been doing so many things, and therefore the behavior will definitely be different from what it was.
Teachers, actually.
But also for the teachers, they have been away for quite some time. So managing the teachers who are coming after 6 months is not the normal we use it to have to manage them. And therefore, heads of education institutions also need to, they need capacity to manage the current situation. The learners, it is completely different from what it used to be. So all these activities need to be seen taking place if we want to have teaching and learning on the onset. And we should not wait for 15th.
Maybe comment on the new guidelines for teachers. What are your thoughts on those?
Of course, standard operating procedures are still a doubt to very many. One, they require resources. And the resources we have, take an example of primary. You find co-curricular takes 30%, scholastic materials 45%, then 10% administration, 10% management, 5% contingency. Now, using those percentages, you cannot put in place standard operating procedures, meaning government should come up with new guidelines, new votes under the new normal. When you look at these temperature guns, of course, there is a need for regulation. Some people have started sending messages to everybody who has a phone line. Some are saying it is 230, others are saying it is 500. Now, you can't tell which is which. And this is a scenario where you are going to buy what you actually don't know. Therefore, government needs to come up and make some regulation along that line. Two, the teachers and the learners are going to the institutions. We don't know whether there are positive cases or not. We even don't know what will happen, how will the situation be handled in case there is a positive case identified. We have this normal flu, which is normally common during the dry season, where you find like a third of the school, they are all having flu. And these learners going to be stigmatized. So how are these? All these need to be prepared for, so that once we go in a school setup, then these situations should not cause an alarm. Otherwise, every other day you will hear there is COVID when it is not there.
That is true. Now, looking at most of the things you've mentioned are to be dealt with by the government. But from what it looks like, the government has already set 15th October for finalists and candidates to return to school.
Yes.
So for those that are watching us today, the teachers, the learners, what ideally should they be doing in order to get back to the mood or to the same mindset of school?
First of all, the teachers should be now preparing their work and how they are going to handle the workload which they have. The learners should be looking for their books and, preparing. The parents should be thinking of where to get the school fees the hard way, because it is under the new normal. And the heads of education institutions should now be preparing the schools. But the question is, do they have the resources? If they don't have the resources, what needs to be done is to make sure that even parents and other stakeholders should see the school in the mood of reopening, so that psychologically people begin to see work in progress. And that will help to start removing the fear. And then we need sensitizations on TVs, on radios, in churches, because they are now allowed to operate, so that we reduce on the tension of fear and anxiety among the stakeholders.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Filbert Baguma, for joining us on Talk of the Nation to give us a teacher's perspective on the set days of students and teachers to return to school. Well, we wait to see how all this plays out, but we hope the students and the teachers watching us tonight restructure or reset their mindset to get back to a school setting. Thank you all for joining us tonight. NTV Weekend Edition continues shortly.